Here we got our mix of white and wholemeal flour. We are going to do 100% autolyzing, which means no yeast as well as no salt. Also, because we have wholemeal, and wholemeal, as you know, has sharp bran in it that takes some time to soften up, we are going to leave it overnight to soak and to soften. In that way, it's going to make much better, much more expandable loaf. As I said, we are only going to add water. Very, very simple. And mix it. I'm not really bothered about adding warm water or about measuring the temperature of this dough. Because guess what? There is no yeast. Without the yeast, there is no fermentation. And therefore, no worry about the temperature. A minute later, the flour has absorbed the water, as you can see. I'm just going to give it a good mix so that it absorbs it a little bit more. So, 1 or 2 rock and rolls, that's extra minute. The dough is very, very dry, very hard, as you can see, and also the gluten hasn't developed yet. It breaks up very easily. And the reason why it is so dry is because we haven't added the leaven to it. The leaven's got loads of water, and when we add it tomorrow, the dough is going to be soft and moist. Probably quite sticky as well. Okay, that's enough. We don't have to knead very much. It's going to develop overnight beautifully for us. Just a little bit of moisturizing, and get a good old shower cap on. That's it. Have a nice rest. See you tomorrow. And here's the dough that I prepared earlier last night. Look at that. Let's see what sort of development we got here. Obviously there won't be any rise, although it does feel much airier than last night, much softer. And look at that how it stretches now. Completely different kettle of fish. See, stretches beautifully. Of course it's wholemeal, it won't stretch as wide, but it's much smoother. So we got our leaven here, we got the salt. Don't forget, this is autolyzing as well as hydrating the dough. We can mix the salt straight into the leaven, and then we're going to mix our dough with the leaven using trusty old rock and rolling, folding the dough over. This is going to take a little bit of time because the dough is not really into assimilating new yeast and new salt into it, and you have to kind of cajole it into it. And with a little bit of elbow grease, it's happening. The dough is softening up, its resistance is fading away. And there we go. See, almost absorbed. Well, that's only about 2 minutes so far, so you know it's not quite a big deal. There you go. Beautiful. I want you to see what sort of dough we got now. First of all, is stickier. Second is softer. Much softer with that extra water. And third it's livelier. So I collect it into a lovely bowl. Feels alive now, you see. With a little bit of rock and rolling, I can feel the bellowing of the dough pumping up. It's very happy now with the yeast and the salt. We are going to let it rise and then we will shape it, prove it and bake it. That's beautifully developed dough now. Back into the bowl, a little bit of spritz, nice little pink shower cup. There we go. Let's find out how our dough is doing. It's been rising for a while and look at the size, is probably doubled and beautifully wobbly, jellyfish stage. I think it's ready, if not slightly over ready. Look at that. We have to take it out very carefully. A little bit of flour will help us so it doesn't stick. And as you know already, you just chafe it, tuck it under and then scrape it out clean like that. Magic. Okay, nice and bubbly. Look at that. That is very strong membrane, gluten membrane, promising. I'm going to divide it into 2 loaves. One is 800 grams and the other one 950. So you cut the dough right through, separate it, scrape it nicely, nice and clean, and when you add any dough to the main lump, you just graft it onto the side like that. A quick pre-shape using the scraper. Don't allow the dough to follow the scraper, otherwise you are not tightening it at all. You prevent it by putting your hand there, you see. There it is. Job done. We are letting the dough to rest a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare the banneton using the rice flour. So first layer of the flour is going to be the rice flour, preventing the dough to slip into the grooves of the banneton. Fantastic dry flour, I love it. I don't know if you use it, but if you haven't tried it, you must. And then we add ordinary flour on top, because rice flour is not very good for decorating. It will just sort of fade away. But if you have a little bit of ordinary flour on, it will make those lovely grooves. Here we have the tin. I usually line the tin with greaseproof paper so that it doesn't stick to it. I'm just going to add a little bit of flour on the top, preventing the dough from sticking to the surface. Scrape it again using the scraper, pull the dough, and then overlap it. And now just roll it on, like in rock and rolling, and then chafe it. And then I elongate it a little bit here, you see. Getting rid of the bubbles on the edges here, but elongate it slightly. And then with the scraper, pick it up and lay it to rest inside the tin. See, now you have to see how the tension in the dough is quite high. Look at that, it bounces back really tight. Okay, this is early stage of the dough. Third stage, at the end of this stage it has to be really bellowing, soft like a cloud. When you press in, shouldn't be any resistance and your finger mark should stay in. At the moment, as you can see, it bounces back immediately. Very nice and tight. Okay, second loaf. Okay, this loaf we are going to tighten differently. Drawstring purse method. Pull it and go over the middle. Go all the way over the middle here. If you pull it into the middle, it will have a little dent in the middle and it won't be good for the loaf, for the final loaf. Okay, turn it over, quick little chafe or a tug, even better with your hands, really tighten it, pick it up, upside down. It's already nicely sealed there, so there you go. Want to show you how tight it is. Oh, a little bit sticky. Get the flour on. Look at that. It bounces straight away. This is what you want. Really nice and tight to begin with, and really nice and soft at the end of the stage 3. I'm going to cover the panettone. And the loaf here I'm going to spray a little bit with water, that's all. And put them in a warm oven. Just slightly warm, about 30 to 40 degrees. Time to test our dough. Look at that, how much it's risen. And also it's very nice and soft, like a cloud. So it's ready. And this one in the panettone is even more ready. Look how long it stays, very soft. We are going to decorate our loaf in the tin using one of those stencils. I think I'm going to use the butterfly. So what you do is cover the brownness of the stencil. Then you know that's plenty of flour. You don't want to overflour because it will feel like dust when you are biting into the crust. So that's plenty. Show you when I lift this off. Very carefully, you have to lift it. And look at that. Perfect impression of the butterfly. Of a butterfly. And then I'll cut it here. I left a bit of room on purpose so that I can have a proper cut there. We are going to take this on the peel and then put it into the oven on a hot stone. There it goes. Comes off beautifully easy. I'm gonna do my favorite cut there. Look at that beautiful butterfly and gorgeous. First of all, we are going to cut into the tin loaf and then into the other one and see the difference in texture of the crumb. This is pretty good crumb for the tin. And now let's see what we got here, the free rising loaf. Beautiful bubbles and smells delicious. So I want you to compare the two slices. Because of the free rising loaf, there was no restriction in any direction except from the bottom, the loaf has risen much better than one in the tin. Although one in the tin is pretty nice and airy.